Interview on the early years. This interview was recorded October 23rd and 24th, 2025, about King Smarty's birth and early experiences. It's been edited to remove background noise, excessive bombs, minimize my wows, and other non-essential comments. And instead of King John Smarty, I'm just going to say Smarty just to keep it a little bit quicker. Sue. When your mom had you, she went into the water and the water turned colors, right? Electrified. Smarty, yeah. I always saw what happened and she finally told me. She said it rippled out too. She told me only a couple days before she died. I saw it my whole life because of my abilities to see. Her admitting it was like, fuck, you made me think I was fucking crazy all this time? Sue, did you say that the golden cube beamed light into her? Smarty, yup. It was Daddy, but it was from the inside of the golden cube. Sue, could there have been other babies on the planet at the same time and Daddy also beamed into them? Smarty, of course. That's why you see this giant dude here, pointing to B. However, we all came in with our own role. He, again indicating B, doesn't want my role. Ask him. Look, a lot of us came in gifted. However, there's only one of me, and you see why. How I implement what Daddy wants. Sue, your family moved from Puerto Rico to Pennsylvania. Smarty, they moved from Puerto Rico to Pottstown, Pennsylvania, and then we moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I was about 3 years old when we got there. I was born in Ponce, raised for a bit in the Guanica area, about 25 minutes west of Ponce. I've been living in Lancaster ever since, until Destin, Florida. I have memories of it all, the first houses that we lived in and everything. Sue, you had mentioned that Puerto Rico was somehow connected with the Holy Land. How is it connected, or why is it a special place? And here's a side note, we're seeing that now. There's hidden places, there's hidden bases. It's going to be very exciting. Smarty, there's a lot of hidden bases there. That's been there for thousands of years. It's been a hub for all of the different commerce. People think that the slave trade started here, but no, it started off planet. Puerto Rico wasn't always an island, it was a landmass. With all the different planetary events, it became a little island. Galactic commerce started out there. Not all of it, but a majority of it. You're still finding out now that Egypt was here in North America. Everything is ass backwards because they don't want people to know the entire truth. That's too bad for them because it's all coming out. Sue, you're saying that Puerto Rico was not an island. It was a large piece of land and it was the galactic hub? Do you mean that it was the center for just part of the Earth where we live or for the entire Earth? Sue's note. We'll be talking more about the size and shape of Earth in the next chronicle. So the next book has more on the size and shape of Earth. Smarty, the entire Earth. You know the dome was put here by the Martians, and once they did that, they closed off the section, trying to protect themselves. But when the reptiles came in, the Martians, but then the, oh wow, then the reptiles came in. The Martians weren't even human. They looked like little elves or little gray types, blue with long skinny arms and pot bellies. That was them. They had that war over there on Mars, and they're the ones that came here. You're talking 2 billion years ago. Imagine the Earth was way bigger. We had way more access to everything. Then they come down here and start putting these domes all over these districts and fucking everything up. Earlier life. Sue, your family didn't have any money, which is why you probably weren't in a great area of Lancaster. Smarty. Yeah, well, it was actually a great area until it wasn't, because a lot of people in the area were just ordinary folks living and working. It wasn't a bad neighborhood. I saw everything changed. You had both nice people and not so nice people, and they were all colors. There weren't just whites or blacks or Hispanics. It was all races. So that's why some of my close friends were black and white, because there weren't a lot of Hispanics in the area at that time. Most of them were black and white. Sue, you said you could see and hear things even as a child. Smarty, I've experienced things trying to take me under the bed. They were pulling my blanket off me. I'm looking under the bed like, what the fuck? There were times where I put the covers over my head because there were all types of shit floating around me looking weird. I was afraid, but at the same time, I wasn't afraid. I would just put the blanket over my head like it was natural and fall asleep. It's funny how we, Sue, it's funny how we do that with a blanket, which is like nothing. No protection, but it makes us feel safer. I do that all the time. Smarty, yeah. Well, to me, that blanket was like everything, safety. And then one time the blanket literally just got pulled under the bed, right? And I was like, fuck the blanket and fell back asleep. Sue, oh my God, for real? And what was it that took the blanket? Smarty, it was one of those dark reptilian type entities that you see pulling the kids under the beds. Just like the movie Monsters Incorporated, it was real. I had all types of wild shit happening, man. It's just wild shit. Sue, when you were a kid, you played video games like you talked about the other day. Smarty, Nintendo, Mario Brothers. Look at Mario Brothers. You have to go into a tunnel and it teleports you to another board. That's what you call teleportation. All these different things are designed to wake people up. It's all true. If you go into a certain building and you go into the elevator, that elevator takes you somewhere else in the universe. People haven't even opened up to the fact yet. So we've got a lot to do. And a lot of it is already like that, where we're walking into it. People are waking up to all this stuff because of the consciousness levels that they're now ready for. And those that aren't ready for it, they've got to get ready for it because they don't have a chance. School testing. Smarty. I remember some of my school testing. They did some tests with this machine that looked like an old-fashioned phone thing, an operator station. There was a red piece of paper with dots on it. I do all sorts of tests, and a few weeks later, that's when they found out about my IQ. Then they put me in what they called learning classes, IU 13, where it's like special ed or a special federal education program. They say they had me in there for multiple reasons because I didn't like to read and write and I had an attitude problem. Like, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. This is boring. Yeah, no. I'm calling your mom. I'm calling your dad. Go right ahead. Shit like that. I remember them putting me in a small room with gadgets, early computers, and even animal parts, bones, pieces, and things like that. They'd have me build these Lego style mechanisms, make them functional, wire them to a computer, and get them to move. I was 7. Sue, did they teach you what they wanted, or did you have to figure it out? Smarty, they put everything in front of me, and I had to work it out myself. And I did. One task involved a rodent, a mouse. It looked like what you'd see if a cat ate a mouse and spit it out, like a hairball with bones inside. I had to take it apart and then reconstruct it into what it originally was. Sue, the actual body of the mouse? Smarty, yes. I had to pull the hair and debris apart, take out the bones and every little piece, and reassemble the skeleton. I was 7. Sue, that's bizarre. It wasn't bizarre to them. It was science, biology, like dissecting a frog, just a little different. They wanted to see if I could do it correctly, and I'd tear it apart, separate every bone, the tiny fingers, the skull, and then glue the skeleton together onto manila paper. Sue, They didn't show you an example first. Smarty, no. I didn't see what it was supposed to look like. I had to know. Then they'd compare it afterwards, and mine matched. That's how they figured out my IQ. Because it was like, he's genius, Superman. Sue, wow. What did they say? Did they call you Superman or Super Genius? Smarty, they didn't call me Superman. It was Super Genius. But yeah, I remember the whole thing. That was before Legos were Legos. They had these little Legos for a little car. I didn't know it at first, but it was a little car I had to put together. I had to wire it up and then use a computer to make it move. There were a lot of other things that I had to do. People remember the ear headset one where you have to nod when you hear the sound. I'm sitting there like, yeah, yeah. And they're looking at me like, how the fuck did you hear that? Now I know why, because I can sense it. They also had those weird ass cards, and I would have to guess what was on them. Because my abilities to see, it's like I'm literally looking at all the cards. Sue, you said there were 5 kids that were genius level at the time, and one got put into the secret space program. Why didn't they do that to you? Smarty, Daddy, that's why. They couldn't touch me. I've experienced a lot of shit. I would leave my house at like 6, 7, 8, probably younger, and go to all different places around town, and then come back, and everybody would be looking for me all crazy. I knew my way around. There was one time everybody was looking for me, and I went to the shop to get a haircut. Sue, and you were just a kid? Smarty. Yeah. And then the owner of the barber shop calls my dad, like, yo, man, you know your son's sitting here in my chair right now? Yeah, that's why I called. I didn't have the money. I knew what money was, and I had coins and shit. Is this enough? Can I get my hair cut? It was literally across town from where I lived, at least 20 minutes walk. I've experienced, bullies. I had to fight with a bunch of bullies trying to bully me. I had to fight with my own family because I was the biggest one, and my dad would pay my cousins and everybody to beat me up. Sue, wait, what? Smarty, just to see if they could beat me up. They never got paid though because they couldn't beat me up. I had like 3 of them jumping at me the same time. Sue, did he want to toughen you up or just wanted to see how fit you were or how strong you were? Smarty, they knew I was strong. That's why they would do stuff like that. My dad would always host boxing rings across the street in the front of the big yards. My dad bought some gloves, and all the kids went out there boxing each other. We went through a lot. I don't like to hit nobody because I know what I can do. The few times I hit people, somebody cracked their face open. The first time, I was probably like 16 or 17. He was trying to beat up on my grandmother and my aunt, and then he comes down and hits me, and I just get up. Boop! Shit split open, blood everywhere. And they were like, oh shit, let's not mess with this kid. That's why I don't like to fight. I mean, I know what I could do. Just keep the peace, man, because I'm going to fuck you up. You don't want to say shit like that in groups of people because then you get jumped, which I learned the hard way as well. I said I was fucked up. This guy had a problem with my cousin because my cousin sleeps with his wife and gets her pregnant. Bad, bad, bad. He decided to cause problems one night. He comes over to me and he says, you know him? I was like, yeah, that's my cousin. He said something else and I said, yeah, okay, I'll fuck you up, nigga. I'd go down to the parking lot, and next you know, I got surrounded by swarms of guys. I broke one of their legs and I busted the other guy's jaw, but they fucked me up. The next day, my whole face was fucked up, and I kept the guy that started the fight's phone. They were calling the phone. I called back and I said, yo, come get your fucking phone, nigga. It's right here, right in front of my house, because they knew where I lived at. Come get your phone, nigga. Come fight me one on one. And my face was all fucked up. Sue, Wow. What year did you drop out of school? About how old were you? Smarty, I was 16 years old because I was working, and you had to be 16 or 15 to work. Shortly after my 16th is when I told my mom I wanted to be signed out of school. Sue, I know you said you worked at Burger King and as a house painter. What other kinds of jobs did you have? Smarty, I did construction work. I did painting, flipping burgers, and packaging work, kind of like assembly lines. My body was there working, but my mind wasn't. With my mind being elsewhere, I was there doing what I had to do, and it was only to get the paychecks. After I got paid and I had a certain amount of money, I quit and then invested the money. For instance, my first job was Burger King flipping burgers. I got my first paycheck, and then I went and bought a couple of ounces of weed. I would take those ounces of weed and make nickel bags. So those are all the jobs that I had. The last one was painting. Sue, everything out there is dog eat dog, competition and struggle. Smarty, yeah, everything. This planet is run that way because it's a draconian system. It wasn't always like that. You hear stories of kings, and a lot of them were chosen by the Dracos. But those of us that were chosen by Daddy had all the abilities and all the know-how because we got it from Daddy. This is why all of them also seeded the planet, which is what I'm doing right now.